Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Well, we're finally here together in person today to cut the ribbon on the suites at Wamsutta Place. But before we do, we'd like to take a few minutes to appreciate the intricately woven story of this place. Wamsutta Mills was the first textile manufacturing company in New Bedford, incorporated in 1846. 1846. It has accumulated countless stories and artifacts in that time, and we are lucky that many of those artifacts have been preserved here. To tell you more about that, I'd like to introduce the former president of Acorn, my mother, Dana Ricciardi.
Thank you very much, Quentin, and good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
On this beautiful day. We are here in part to honor a longtime member of the Acorn staff, who sadly is no longer with us, Domingos Araujo. He was the caretaker and guiding spirit of these buildings for over 50 years, and he lives on in the memories of everyone who has lived here and everyone who has worked for Acorn. He knew every unique nook of the Wamsutta Mills, every system, every problem, and how to fix it. Through the years and during the renovations, Domingos kept an eye out for any historic pieces that might be saved. So it seemed appropriate to assemble some of the history and a few of the artifacts and put together a small exhibit dedicated to the years when the modest Domingos was known as the mayor of Wamsutta. In fact, my husband Steve had the idea of installing a museum on this site many years ago, but organizing a museum with climate control, staffing, and other challenges had to take second priority to creating the unique loft-style apartments which so many of you enjoy today. 3 years ago, when the antiques market at Wamsutta Place was disassembled, my son Quentin had the idea of acquiring 3 of its display cases. And so, the project of installing a small exhibit for the lobby at the lofts got underway. It has been my privilege not only to access the collection, but to work with the incredibly dedicated team who installed the exhibit. I do want to single out Christina Carter, who coordinated every detail. Keith Francis, who tweaked the layout, the images, and the font in countless small ways to make the panels look really professional. Dave Avila, who painted the cases, adjusted the doors, drilled holes in the metal, and solved problems as they arose. And I also want to thank Quentin for ordering the lighting and accessories and insisting that 3 heavy metal cases be brought outside for this occasion.
Dave was less thrilled.
And now it is an honor to ask Isabel Araujo to come forward and remove the wraps. And I'd like to ask Kevin and Melanie to help as well.
So please take a moment to check those out after we're all done here. A lot of work went into them, as my mother said, and we're very proud of not only being able to preserve the history here, but working as a team to put it on display. And thanks to Domingos' help for preserving them many years when there were lots of people who didn't care about the history here. So thank you, Dana, Isabel, Melanie, and of course Domingos. Now I'd like to focus on the official opening of the building behind us and introduce a man who has long supported the preservation and rehabilitation of historic landmarks in the city, Mayor Jon Mitchell.
Well, it's hard to follow that. That is really cool, and I just want to start off by saying to Isabel, this is a tremendous way for Domingos' legacy to be perpetuated. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's a mini museum of sorts, but it really it is a way of summing up the significance of these buildings, this site, in a way that's appropriate and accurate and compelling, and in a great way. And it's something that couldn't have happened without Domingos' contribution. So I want to thank you for the work that you've done on it, and we're so pleased that this day could come for you and your family. And we're so pleased that this day could come for the Ricciardi family. And you guys, and this is true of your father and your husband Steve, really are big dreamers. You guys think big, and this is a reflection. This and the entirety of the Wamsutta Mill's redevelopment is a reflection of a whole lot of effort, but indeed a whole lot of passion behind that effort. Steve came to New Bedford about 20 years ago now, right? And took a look around and saw a whole lot of potential and fell in love. He drank, like you guys drank, the Kool-Aid when you came here, and you've really committed yourselves to improving the city, but improving it by building on the past. This is Wamsutta Mills is a hugely important historical site, as Quentin noted, and as this display tells the story. It was the city's first textile mill at a time when what it reflected was this is before big waves of European immigration arrived here in New Bedford later in the 19th century and the early 20th century. This was at a time, this was built out at a time when whaling was king, when New Bedford was king for whaling, on account of whaling. And it really reflected just how really the forethought of the leadership of the business community at that time. They were way ahead of everybody else, like diversifying their holdings, understanding that textiles were going to take off. This is almost 15 years before the Civil War, and it took another number of decades, 4 decades almost, for the next textile mill to be built. That's how in the city. That's how ahead of their time they were. And so, and it was such a huge complex, right, smack dab, and what really was, in effect, the town, right? Just think about this, really launched in many ways New Bedford going from town to city. And so really this place had to be preserved, and it wasn't an easy feat to pull off, but the Ricciardi family did that. And Steve may have been, along with Dana, the prime movers, but you've kept it going, Q, and it's great. People love living here. People love living here because it's great space. It's beautiful, but there's also a great story behind it as well. So we're very proud of what you guys have been able to contribute to the city. I know you've worked very closely with a number of folks here, like the planning department under Jen Carloni and our historic planner Ann Laurel, Tony Sapienza and Derek Santos at the team over at the EDC, and so many others. And we'd love for you to do some more. Hint, hint, right? But no, really though, it contributes to the housing stock of the city at a time when we need to increase the housing supply. That's really important. But you guys have set a great example of entrepreneurship. You took on risk here, and others weren't willing to do that. And when that happens, more investment tends to follow. And we've seen that over the years. There have been more mill conversions that have gone on since then, since you guys really started the ball rolling, and with more to come. So it's a tremendous contribution to this city that we are actively rebuilding all the time. And now all this is complemented by what's going on across the waterfront, including over here. There are literally hundreds of millions of dollars being invested in the waterfront as much of the fishing industry from the East Coast is consolidating here, as the offshore wind industry is arriving. There's a brand new shipyard being built where Revere Copper and Brass was, just across MacArthur, Herman Melville, right over here, North Front Street. And then, of course, there's the passenger rail link right over there, which will only enhance all of this, right? That's scheduled to be open at the end of 2023. So there's a lot going on, but it always takes, when these things happen, it always takes somebody to push the snowball down the hill, right, for it to start building. And you guys did that, and we are so grateful for it. And so this is really exciting. You got a good crowd here today, people, and it's not just because the bar is open, right? It's because people recognize the work that you guys have done and are really excited about it. So a big thank you from the city of New Bedford, and we look forward to the work ahead. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I want to tell you a little bit about this building's history. When it was originally constructed in 1889, it was the last stop in the lengthy process of fine cotton production here at Wamsutta Mills. Raw cotton arrived at Wamsutta and moved through several buildings and machines, which cleaned and fluffed it until its fibers could be separated and purified, then combed and spun into yarn, which was wrapped around spools. These spools were inserted into shuttles, like one that you see in this case here. Those shuttles were used to actually weave fabric. And when the fabric was woven into large sheets, it was brought here to this building, which was tailor-made for the inspection of this cloth, before being shipped for use as fine linens and clothing of all sorts, including suits, dresses, sheets, etc. Now, the building has been re-hemmed into 33 bright and beautiful loft-style apartments. I urge you to follow the signs inside this door that will take you to Unit 203 so that you can see the space itself. But a couple of other things I want to talk about too. When we began construction in 2019, like everybody else, we could never have imagined the challenges that we as a society would face over the coming years. Yet the project team bobbed and weaved. Come on, it only gets better.
Humor him.
Through the challenges of the COVID period, thank you. We didn't lose our heads or our shirts. We overcame supply chain delays, unforeseen conditions, and a disingenuous party that sought only to line its own pockets. Okay. There's more. In fact, to our surprise, we even discovered a single toilet in a small room that had been entirely sealed up by brick and mortar. We can still to this day only speculate as to what might have been so bad they decided to close it off to the world. All right, now that you're all in stitches, I need to get serious for a moment here. I want to let everyone know how proud I am, honestly, of the team that we assembled, a team which shared a common thread. Okay. And that was the drive to fill each unforgiving minute with 60 seconds of distance run. First, thank you to my wife, Amy, for her tolerance and unwavering support. In fact, when I told her that I was a little worried about this project and I needed to be on site every day, and live near the project for several months. To my surprise, her immediate surprise was, okay, when do we need to leave? That truly shows the fabric of her character. Also, a big thank you for the continued support of my mother and my sister, Mayor Mitchell, Representative Cabral, who couldn't be here today, and also Senator Montigny, who couldn't be here today, but both who have supported us along with the mayor throughout all of our endeavors, and we're proud to be working with them. Finally, I'd like to say thank you to the group who finally helped to grab the project by its lapels. In particular, the entire Acorn team, the Stuckel Group, our general contractors, and DBVW Architects. Thanks to the team's belt and suspenders efforts, the suite stands today as a reinvented piece of our history. It is a testament to the fortitude and perseverance of countless individuals, both today and in years past, who have given their all to spin straw into gold. It is these individuals that today we are grateful to for preserving a piece of our history and weaving new life into a storied landmark. I'm proud to say that regardless of the knots and tangles along the way, we pushed the thread through the eye of the needle. And in the end, that's the point. Now let's cut these threads and open this building.